one of the more anticipated and basically promoted upcoming TMNT issues and story arcs from IDW is the IDW debut of their interpretation of Venus, otherwise known as Venus de Milo, mostly known for her time on Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation. Now, true, as many people have talked about and mentioned, she has been referenced throughout different incarnations of the Ninja Turtles that came afterwards. Now, with that said, though, one thing that a lot of people have been praising about IDW when it comes to reintroducing and reimagining characters like Venus into their continuity is how they bring a different style to it. How they basically bring a more different approach to it and interpretation of said character. I mean, they have done this with Mona Lisa, despite what we got with the 2012 CGI series from Nickelodeon. They have done this with Tokan Reza. They've done this with Slash. They've done this with various other characters. Leatherhead, Rat King, Shredder to an extent. The list can go on and on. Sure, they're kind of the same characters, but they're different interpretations with the personalities tweaked a bit, if not totally, in a direction you wouldn't expect. And Venus is one of the latest characters from the Ninja Turtles archives, if you will, to make a return. Much to a lot of people's surprise, because even when it was promoted, people said it was never thought to be, and yet here it is. But that does raise a question. Who is next on the list of Ninja Turtle characters that could make a jump into IDW? Excuse me there. But who is next on the list? And there could be a lot of people that are on the list. There could be a lot of people. Now, I don't know if the interpretation that they have of Mona Lisa is Irma, or young Irma. She does give off those vibes, so I don't know. I have to check that out. But again, the list is kind of endless. I mean, you see the interpretation and introduction of the Punk Frogs. I think they've done Mondo Gecko. If they haven't, he should be one of the next characters on the list. They should do, I don't know if they've done Amargon or Amargon, the shark, if you will, from the future. I don't know if they've done him yet. If not, he too should be on the list. I don't know if they've done Needle Nose and Screw Loose, or Wingbat, or whatever his name is, Wingnut and Screw Loose. If not, they should be next on the list. There's, again, a peripheral, just a basket unlimitedly full of characters that they could tap into and bring in, under their own interpretation. Either keep them similar and identical to the original vision that they were given, or, in personality and stuff, or differ them just enough to where you have that hybrid, you have that mix of what made them who they were, mixed in with something new and fresh. Because when you look at how they're introducing Venus, yeah, that's a big leap in, changing her up from what we understand. I mean, obviously they're showing us what she looks like as a human, but how she goes from a human to a mutant that's basically being experimented on with various different pieces of mutant amphibian is another story. But like I said, it does raise that question of who could be next. And I just gave a few examples, of who they could bring in next. But to me, I've mentioned it before, I think the biggest example of a character that needs to be brought in, since Viacom, Nickelodeon, does own the rights, and they would definitely, in my opinion, be cool with her showing up in the IDW books, would be Ninjara. Now, we know that in the IDW books, Raphael is dating Aeolplex, if you will, who is a mutated female wolf who used to be on the side of evil, but is now on their side, kind of like when Ninjara was, like when she, kind of like how Ninjara was positioned, I should say, when she debuted in the Archie comics. So, the question is, though, if Ninjara is going to be one of those next characters that gets, a reimagining, or at least a revisioning, if you will, of how she's presented and introduced, when it comes to IDW, the question is, how would IDW bring her in if she would be one of the next characters? And I know that sounds a little more convoluted than it should. Well, honestly, I think if you got Eloplex, then obviously I think what you need to do is make Ninjara her sister. That's not a joke. That is not a joke. You have Ninjara, since you're going with the storyline where pretty much the city is divided into different sections in one of the mutated version or mutated section of the town, why not go the route where Eloplex's sister, who's probably around the same age she was when she got mutated, shows up, but she also shows up as a fox, but this is a fox that is, basically the same, similar design as Ninjara, same coloring and everything. And let's say she's being, like Eloplex at one time was, being, sent down the wrong path until Eloplex and the Turtles get a hold of her and convince her, hey, that's not the right direction, you're being used, and go from there. I think that would probably be the best introduction for Ninjara into the IDW book, especially somewhat of a reimagining of the character. Yes, she wouldn't be an all-out anthropomorphic, non-mutated humanoid fox like she was in the Archie books, but if you keep her true to her personality, at least close to it, from the Archie books of how she was first introduced there, and then how she was basically able to flip the coin and redeem herself and stuff like that, you kind of bring that element into IDW with a reintroduction of her character, and then you add in that she's Eloplex's, let's say, sister. I think you pretty much have a done deal there. You have a done deal that people would enjoy. Now, some would say, okay, well, if Raphael has Eloplex, who does Ninjara go to? And I think, obviously, the best direction for Ninjara would be either Michelangelo, if he's no longer with that female lizard, or with Donatello. Because I think if they try to hook her up with Leonardo, that won't really work. It could, but it wouldn't. So, I think if Ninjara is one of the characters that's next on the list to be brought in, as I check something here, guys, and I do apologize for the movement, but like I said, if she's one of the characters that's next to be brought in, to be reimagined, if you will, under the IDW license, then I think, obviously, like I said, you bring her in, you reveal her to be the sister of Eloplex, you reveal that just like Eloplex, she got mutated into a fox, you have her going down the wrong path, or being sent down the wrong path, just like Eloplex was. You have the Turtles, along with Eloplex, rescue her, bring her over to their side, help redeem her. And then, maybe if you want to give her a love interest like Eloplex has with Raphael, I think the most likely choices would be a Michelangelo, if he doesn't have that lizard girl anymore, or a Donatello. I think it would work either way. But again, like I said, besides Ninjara, they have a whole truckload of characters that they have yet, from my understanding, maybe I'm wrong, they have yet to really reintroduce and reimagine for the IDW books. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on Ninjara showing up in the IDW books, reimagined, possibly as Eloplex's sister? Let me know down in the comments and in the live chat, and I am out.